There was always a real desire amongst, us, the filmmakers and the cast, to have one of the world premieres down in New Zealand.
And Peter had really wanted a commitment for the world premiere of Return of the King to occur in Wellington, which we had talked about. It had been discussed.
For the Two Towers New Zealand premiere, we had 2 or 3 actors come down, and we had Mark Ordesky, our New Line executive, down there. And I just thought, well, I know what I need to do. While I'm here making speeches at the premiere in New Zealand, and I got a certain amount of media, I'm going to get Ordesky to come up, and I'm going to make him promise that the world premiere can happen in New Zealand, and he won't have any way to back out of it.
Peter is a sneaky bastard. Peter was doing his speech to the crowd and thanking them and so on and so forth.
From New Line here.
And I knew at that moment exactly what, he had planned. I mean, I just intuitively knew it.
So I want to ask Mark where the world premiere of Return of the King is going to be.
Wellington, New Zealand!
Knowing that there was no other way to play it except enthusiastically, like it had been my idea all along, I announced the world that the world premiere would be in Wellington, which was less of a scary and freaky moment than the next morning when I opened up my hotel room door to pick up the paper, and my photo was on the front page of the national paper with a humongous banner headline.
In my usual sort of rather kind of sneaky way, I had really pushed New Line into a corner that they couldn't kind of back out of.
Good afternoon. Thousands of Lord of the Rings fans are taking over Wellington's Courtney Place.
This is the day the city of Wellington and thousands of fans have been waiting years for.
The day of the premiere itself it's like one of those moments which you think back on it and it's a bit like a dream, you can't quite connect it with reality.
It was actually absurd. You'd walk out of your hotel room and the whole city had been transformed into Lord of the Rings town.
I had butterflies in the morning, and I mean, that was only in the morning, and I was sort of thinking, this is such a huge day, not just for Wellington, not just for us as the film crew, but for New Zealand.
Good morning, everybody. George FM broadcasting from one of the most exciting days New Zealand movies has ever seen.
I think there was something like 145,000 people that turned out for this event, which, if you know Wellington, it was bursting at the seams.
There were people on every ledge, every balcony, every window, every rooftop.
People hanging out of windows, people on tops of buildings, people hanging onto lampposts.
Up trees, up poles, on each other's shoulders.
I mean, what a reception.
There's a huge event at Parliament to start the day with, with the Prime Minister and all this other senior ministers.
This film was conceived of by a Kiwi, has been contributed to by thousands of Kiwis, and has been filmed entirely in New Zealand and is taking the world by storm. Shouldn't we feel proud?
This is a day when we are so proud to be New Zealanders. We're standing up here, we've made something that the world is looking at and going, I don't believe it could be done anywhere else than Hollywood. We did it in New Zealand.
The parade was actually kind of extraordinary. The parade started from the Parliament building.
And off we went down the streets of Wellington.
And Air New Zealand flew overhead one of their Frodo planes.
It flew right over the city, like at a coordinated moment. You've never seen a jumbo jet fly over at that altitude. It's pretty awe-inspiring.
That's my face on a plane flying over my head. Cool. How you doing? Good? Good.
You really felt like you were an astronaut. I mean, it's the sort of thing I associate with landing on the moon.
Then we got out of the car, and it was hot, and it was exhausting, but it was fun, and you wanted to honor it, and you wanted to be tired, but then it would have been disrespectful to be tired.
We were theirs, and they were ours.
Just like the individual farewells to the actors, this was a farewell from all of us to all of them, to all the Kiwis, not just in the crew and their families, and not just Wellingtonians, but the whole country.
There's a lot of people thought that Pete Jackson and New Zealand couldn't pull this off. Well, they were wrong.
I really only have one thing to say, and it's written on my T-shirt.
Wellington sucks. No, precious, we loves you. Wellington's our friend. Oh, yes, all right then. Just this once.
But if ever I'm feeling down in the dumps, I can just turn on that film in my mind of that experience and feel loved again.
I think we finally got the last reel done a couple of days beforehand, and I was praying that the Prince would be out on time.
The first time that Peter saw the movie in its entirety was at the premiere of the film in Wellington. I love it. He's like, yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing the movie too. I haven't seen it. I'm like, what? It's like, yeah. It's like, I've been editing it. You know, I've seen pieces of it, but I've never seen the whole thing played down. Unbelievable. So at the end of the night, what'd you think, Pete? Yeah, yep, it's good. It's good. Yep, good. It's awesome. Absolutely incredible.
Following the New Zealand premiere, there was this incredible world tour, which was like a whirlwind.
Peter said he felt like we were the Beatles. But it really did feel that way. It was outrageous.
It was one of those classic cases where, oh, if it's Tuesday morning, it must be Paris.
You're exhausted and you're tired, but it's like, shut up and enjoy it. Because in 5 years' time, you're going to be thinking, wow, that was great.
So after Denmark, Pete had to go home and, people went their separate ways. But the three actors and Rick went up to Oslo for one more.
I was thinking this is like one of the smaller premieres, kind of the last one, but it wasn't as big as the others. And here it was in an arena, that quite often had hockey games and whatnot. This gigantic arena and this huge movie screen, one of the biggest screens I've ever seen in my life.
Viggo Mortensen!
God aften, Oslo. Jeg fortsætter på engelsk, fordi mine kammerater forstår jo ikke dansk, og det gør I vel heller ikke.
I turned to the guys and said, hey, guys, Viggo's making fun of us. He's probably saying we're fat or something.
Wait a minute.
And then after that, we proceed to watch one of the most remarkable things I've ever seen, which was 200 actors reenacting the highlights of the first two movies preceding the third film.
I will take the ring to Mordor. I do not know the way.
They had been rehearsing for 6 months, professional actors and stunt people, for free, because they loved Tolkien.
They acted out Pelennor Fields and Helm's Deep, and people got scarred and cut.
I really wish that everybody had been there. I wish they could have seen this after what we'd all been through. It was astounding.
And then it was over, It was home for Christmas, and it was a sense of, whoa, it's finished. But of course, it wasn't over because straight after Christmas we were going into the award season.
I couldn't believe it. I was so excited when we were nominated for all those awards.
Well, the Oscars certainly was something we never ever dreamt would be a part of.
We were privileged enough to be invited to the Oscars. I'm pretty sure, it was because of Fran and Pete.
We met at the Mademoiselle Sofitel Hotel, the Four Hobbits did. And actually, when I saw Elijah, he saw me and he went, hey, and I went, oh, let's go over there. We walked over to this spot on the floor in the lobby. And I was like, do you know where we are? And he goes, oh. We were standing on the exact spot where we first met 5 years before. I said, I just want to have this moment. This is it, man. We've come full circle.
For 3 years we'd been hearing about Oscars, and obviously for 3 years members of our team had been winning Oscars, but there was this whole thing about, when are they going to honour the film? Are they going to honour the film? Are they going to snub it? Is it going to be ignored?
They'd never before given an Oscar to what they described as a fantasy. Ever. Ever.
I mean, the very first award was the one that I really wanted us to get, which was the art department. Because, Dan Henner and Grant Major and Alan Lee had been nominated in the previous years and they hadn't won.
And the Oscar goes to Grant Major for Lord of the Rings, Dan Henner and Alan Lee for the set decoration.
But that was the first one up. And they won, and it was like this incredible cheering in the group and this feeling of yay. And the night became enjoyable from that point.
And as it started to unfold, you were just so worried that you were going to be the department that broke the line of success.
And when we just kept winning award after award, I didn't believe it. I sort of felt like, oh my God, is this happening? Wait, do we have to stand up again? Quick, smile.
I think that everyone who won an award on this would have traded in those awards to make sure that Peter Jackson got Best Director.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Steven Spielberg.
I think we all were quite nervous as Steven Spielberg walked on the stage. There's no way to really describe what that feels like, to be sitting in an audience at the Oscars, awaiting your fate or your film's fate for that final award.
And the Oscar goes to... It's a clean sweep. For Lord of the Rings, The Return of the King.
They announced it, and we all kind of jumped up and were hugging each other and, completely excited. And then Peter said, well, you gotta come up here.
I wanted to be on that stage. I wanted it so bad. And when we walked up there, it just felt like, this is it. This is what it feels like to win the World Series. This is what it feels like to win the Super Bowl.
Oh, this is just unbelievable, and I'm so honoured, touched and relieved that the Academy and the members of the Academy that have supported us have seen past the trolls and the wizards and the hobbits and are recognising fantasy this year.
And really the feeling of it wasn't about individual triumph or awards or anything. It really felt like it was the team. And of course, with the fact that we had this clean sweep thing that no one ever, dreamt was going to happen, it was even more about the team.
Prizes for our work don't reside in gold statuettes, nor in even the size of the fee. It's the appreciation of the audience.
After the Oscars, there was only one party that I really wanted to go to, which was the TheOneRing party, which is organised by a group of incredibly dedicated fans.
One of the things that really motivated us was we were absolutely terrified of letting you guys down.
God, if you ever want to know what it feels like to be a rock star, that was that moment.
This could not be possible without you guys. Thank you.
Then afterwards, we ended up back at the Four Seasons, and we went to Peter's room, Peter's suite.
And everybody's up there in his suite, and he had a table, and everybody put their Oscars on the table. So there's like 20 Oscars lined up.
That was pretty incredible. It was the first time I saw Peter in awe of something.
For that moment, it was the family again. And in many ways, probably for the last time. This was the sort of the resolution of years and years and years of work, and that in that moment, people were able to sort of see, the acknowledgement.
Yeah, okay, here we go, and roll camera. And action! 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Okay, so print that. I just got an idea, Alex. If we got up
like a 24mm lens. When we cut the extended cut, I realised that there was one little shot that I needed that I hadn't got for the Powers That Are Dead. I guess finishing the theatrical version, none of us really wanted it to end, and so the extended cut gave us an opportunity to kind of carry on. We've already won the Academy Award for this film. We don't need to get all kind of funny about it, do we? That's the best thing to do. Win the Academy Award for Best Movie before you finish shooting the last shot. That's kind of the best way to do it, isn't it?
We so enjoyed the process of making these movies. There's a part of us, I think, that never really wanted it to end.
Whether you liked it or not, it was a significant part of your life. You know, so for some people it was 7, 8 years of work. For others it was 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 years of their life that was truly immersed in this project.
It was a lifestyle, it wasn't a film. Lord of the Rings was like your suburb, really, because everybody's lives just kept happening in this kind of place for a very long period of time.
Once you started working on Lord of the Rings, you got sort of brought into the family, and it just became your home, it became your environment, it became your lifestyle. And you just accepted that, and anyone who didn't last on the film.
I don't think any of us have been involved with anything on this level, on this scale.
Left, right, left, right.
There is nothing that is daunting to me now, because I know nothing could ever be as intense as that experience.
If you talk to any one of us, we would all have horror stories of what it cost us personally.
There would be some fairly horrendous statistics out there to do with, you know, health and family breakups and girlfriends and boyfriends. It's a side of it that none of us choose to look at.
I missed my son growing up. That when I left to come down here, he was 3 months old, you know, about the size of a cardboard box. And when I kind of came back for any decent stretches of time, he's kind of 3.5, 4 years old. And it was kind of sad to have missed out on that fantastic kind of time.
Okay, everybody, let's wrap our gear and go have a party.
You know, on some level, the stopping and the getting to the end is a relief. I mean, there's no doubt about that. I couldn't be truthful if I didn't, you know, admit that it's like, oh, thank God it's finished. But it's like a relationship coming to an end. It's like a family dissolving. It's intense, and you form friendships, and then the whole thing sort of stops. There's a realisation, too, that the friendships don't have to end.
We've been through lots of stuff together. We've all had arguments and come close to fights and stuff. But like a family, you forgive the cranky old uncle. You forgive the granddad who won't get out of his chair, that kind of thing. You know what I mean? You forgive people what you see as being their shortcomings.
I think a lot of people in the film industry are nomads, and they basically roam around searching for like a wonderful experience or wonderful people to work with. Yeah. And every so often you strike wonderful people and a wonderful experience, something that's going to enrich your life.
The fact that we let it happen and we all became friends and, you know, comrades doing it, I think is part of the success of it.
It's not often that you can work on a movie and come away feeling like you've grown as a result of it, and that it has informed a lot on your life, you know, in a profound way.
I do feel, I think we all do, that, that was a journey worth going on, you know? Yeah, we've made, those films were really good, and we were part of them.
I kind of don't think that Lord of the Rings is repeatable in that way. I mean, the fact that it was shot in New Zealand, the fact that it was 3 films together, and we were basically an amateur filmmaking country. We had a cast of actors and a wonderful crew who committed to 3 movies, you know, to 18 months of work, and in the case of some of the crew members, 6 or 7 years of work. And that is something that, you know, doesn't happen in the film industry, hardly ever.
He's marrying my sister.
Yeah. Oh. Let's put it over there. If I was going to sum it up, I'd say it was the biggest home movie in the world. Thank you.
Follow me! Follow me!
I am in no hurry to forget these experiences. I don't know why anybody would be. I'm on camera here talking to you, and this is probably the last time, I guess, that it's directly about Lord of the Rings and Aragorn. And I'd like to take the chance to say thanks to you and to, the fans that have seen this movie and the people in New Zealand who embraced this before any fan saw these movies. So, thank you and farewell. For the Kiwis, it's a big kia ora. And to the Tolkien fans, I'll just say namari.
And thus it was. The fourth age of Middle-earth began. And the fellowship of the Ring, though eternally bound by friendship and love, was ended.